This is the PowerPoint video of John Locke from the second treatise of government. So Locke said on the with regards to the state of nature, the state of nature is basically the same as what Hobbes had said. Supposedly, a state of nature is also a state of war, everyone against everyone else. Locke believed in natural rights. So we have certain natural rights the day we're born. So we have these rights even before government. And these natural rights are, the first one is liberty or freedom. We are free from any superior power on earth. Second is equality. And third is property. So as we can recall, Hobbes said that there's no such thing as rights in the state of nature. What is right or wrong and property rights is an artificial construct. They are social constructs. They don't really exist in nature, but Locke believed that they really do exist within nature. So state of nature is a state of freedom. We can do almost anything in the state of nature, according to Locke. So we can do anything except undermining another person's natural right to life or health or liberty or possession. So this is called the law of nature. So law of nature is that no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. So this also exists within nature as well, according to Locke. And what happens if someone's life or health or liberty or possession is undermined by another person? Then the individual has a right to punish the offender. So we can basically fight back and punish the offender. On the state of nature, so similar to Hobbes, the state of nature is a state of hostility and destruction. There is no impartial judge in the state of nature. In the state of nature, there's no impartial judge to help resolve disputes in the state of nature. For this reason, we need a judge, an impartial judge in society to help resolve disputes. We need the court system, basically. On the issue of property, God provided the land to us. So Locke believes in God, and God provided the land to us. And the moment we mix our labor with that of the land, it becomes our own personal property. So that is personal property. Now one can take as much as one can consume before it spoils. So in terms of how much can we take from the land, let's say food off of the land, you can take as much as you can, as you want to, but no more than before it spoils, before you can consume it. And then if you can't consume it, it spoils. So that's the limitation on property. On the issue of money, so the effects of money here. So before the use of a monetary system, people traded things, goods and services with another form of goods and service, usually a form of good, of course. And then eventually people started to sell off their goods and services in return for a hard asset such as gold, silver, or a precious metal, other precious metal, or gem. And then, of course, then there's the use of money as well. And this, according to Locke, changed the value, the intrinsic value of things. What this started to do was that, for example, if a farmer sold off his or her crops in return for gold, silver, or money, then the farmer can now take that exchange in the form of a hard asset or money and accumulate as much as that person wants to. It doesn't spoil, in other words. Whereas before the introduction of hard assets and money, people would only produce just enough to consume for themselves or also to trade it for another form of good. There's no point of overproducing. So when money came along, it caused people to overproduce in order to accumulate more wealth. Once again, in the case of the farmer, then the farmer wants to make more money, accumulate more wealth, increase the possession of land to be able to farm more. So this is the effect of money. The beginning of civil society. What is the purpose of government? And Locke says it is to secure the law of nature, to act as a neutral judge to help secure the law of nature, to set up rules and regulations, or rules and regulations become law binding, power to enforce the laws and carry out punishment. So the state, the government, is there basically to enforce the law of nature, and that is to say to not harm another person's natural rights, which are life, liberty, and possessions. Under the Commonwealth, individuals agree to be ruled under the state, and that people must consent to majority rule when we live under a society and under government. Locke imposes the limitations of the supreme power. The supreme power does not have absolute power over the lives and fortunes of the people. It is the joint power of the members of society. The supreme power cannot take away property without consent. And regulations of the legislative power. Laws must apply to all, both rich and the poor. The end of the law must be for the good of the people. So legislative power. Property tax requires the consent of the people. So as we can see that now it's starting to sound like the three branches of government in our modern day government. And Locke stated on the issue of conquest by foreign power that when basically a foreign power invades a country and takes over, that rule over the people requires consent, first of all. Foreign rule cannot be forced upon the people. So force is an illegitimate form of rule. And in foreign conquest, that is one time when the union or the government can be dissolved. Another time is when government can no longer enforce the laws, can no longer protect people's natural rights. Another time is when the executive or the legislature acts contrary to their trusts. Is another justification to dissolve government and to create a new government. And a fourth justification is when they invade personal property of the people. And in some, when they make themselves or any part of the community masters or arbitrary disposers of the lives, liberties, and fortunes of the people. So when government starts to undermine people's natural rights, it is justification to dissolve government. So let's take a look at the influence on American political thought. So in the Declaration of Independence, we see the mention of the laws of nature here. And on in this second paragraph here, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So the term life, liberty are natural rights according to Locke. And in the Bill of Rights, we also see the mention of the word here: no one will be deprived of life, liberty, or property. Life, liberty, or property. So that's exactly the same natural rights that Locke had mentioned. So we can see how John Locke has an influence on the American political thought, which we will discuss next week.